Bro.
Hi, Evie.
All right. So third time's a charm. Let's try it one more time. I got Archangel Michael on my
One more
back.
time. Let's try this one more time. Let's see how this goes. I don't know what's going on, but okay. I am your host, Elba Rivera, and I am with Evie-Rodriguez.
Woo-hoo.
We started to have a conversation and something happened. So we're gonna go at it again. So
For the third time.
yes, for the third time. The whole process, the whole purpose, sorry, for this recording is because we wanted to talk a little bit about recruiting and things for people who are having problems finding employment. And with this pandemic and everything like that, it seems to be a problem right now. And you as a recruiter who is able to help people looking for jobs and stuff like that, I wanted to kind of talk with you so we can get some information out there to all our audience. And so one of the questions was, what do you recommend for people actively seeking employment? When it comes to resumes, do you recommend one page, few pages? I've been working at the company that I've been working for 8 years, so I haven't really been out there looking. I've heard that, some people say, you should be writing just a summary page of, your skills and everything like that. And then when you go on your interview, that's when you sell yourself, to the people and tell them, what you're worth and what you can offer to the company. So I wanted to, kind of touch base with you on that. And what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, sure. So, and it's a very good question. And I think it's good timing because I don't, um, I don't think that there's one particular way or one particular answer. And I'll tell you why. If there's anything you remember out of today and out of that question and out of the whole podcast, ladies and gentlemen, is that you just have to be yourself, and the attitude, because not a lot of people are using resumes after the pandemic. I'm still going to certain places. I don't know where you're at, listener, but some areas they still don't want you to come inside. Some areas just are all, go green, so it's not a piece of paper. But if you're talking about, oh, resume online, girl, that's who uses that. It's like, are you referring to looking for work on LinkedIn? It's a very complicated answer. If there's anything you remember, is use your heart and just and your attitude, because whenever you're putting a resume together, and you should put it together, if you're going to put one, don't have somebody else do it. At least be part of the process. That means
Right,
you're putting your energy into it.
right.
If you're then asking me, well, how many paid and how many, we could talk about that all day long, but one page is fine.
And is it
Resume, no
even
resume.
significant is it even significant nowadays, the way that things are done? A lot of people are focused on LinkedIn and putting your information there. That should be enough, right?
It depends. It
And,
depends. And
kind of
again, who's
depends.
my audience? Who's my audience? Because as a business and artist, business creation and an artist that I am, are you looking for what kind of a work? Are you trying to look for a job in the entertainment industry, or are you looking for a job in corporate America? So to give you guys a background, I am 41 years old with a bachelor's of psychology from Florida State University. I was, born in the island of Puerto Rico, and I moved at 11 years old. So I was a maid. I was a housekeeper at a motel of a 192 in Kissimmee, Florida. I still live in Kissimmee, but I have lived in many, many other cities within the state of Florida. And I own not only Florida, I own the planet, bitch. But anyways, as an artist, as an artist and millionaires that we are in the process of becoming, we want everyone to be part of that process. So to answer your
Right.
question, it depends. It depends on what kind of a job you're looking for. And a
Exactly.
job is not a job, and work is
Right.
not work. And that's what I teach people. You don't want to look for a job. You want a career,
You want a
work.
career, yes. And you also want to have something that's really gonna be something that you're passionate about. And
Ding, ding,
sometimes, you
ding.
know,
Oh my God, yes.
yeah. we, of course, we have to be realistic. A job, you need a job because you need to pay bills, right? You can't live for free forever. That's only when you live with your parents. But you know, I think that, people who are seasoned in the game, such as myself, like, let's say, I was listening to a live on IG, and we were Instagram. So they were talking about, rejected resumes and stuff like that. And so it was funny because, the company that we were working for, right? I got laid off because there was an acquisition, and the people in the department where I was at, they didn't need us because they already had a team, right? So that's fine and dandy. So I started looking, I was grateful that they gave me 6 months notice. Um, and so I was looking for a job and stuff like that. However, at the time that they were doing the layoffs, there was still, it wasn't a pandemic, but there was a crisis, right? Because the stock went down, there was a depression, and blah, blah, blah. And so, when I was looking for a position, I'm like, okay, I have 20 something years experience, and they wouldn't take they wouldn't take me for the position because I didn't have a bachelor's degree. So it was
Huh.
kind of funny how
Okay.
how some of these companies work, and you kind of feel funny about that because, okay, sure, I have my associate's degree in business, but I don't have my bachelor's degree. So you mean to tell me, right, that working in a company for some odd years, okay, like I said, I have 20 plus years experience at the time, right? Now it's 30, but I had 20 plus years experience in business. And what I could not understand was, you know, you would rather take someone who has a bachelor's degree with no experience versus someone who has experience, which, you know, I get it sometimes, but sometimes I feel like, that kind of stumps the person,
Mhm.
who is working towards, doing something better for themselves, who has the experience. Now, you, I'm just going like all over the place with this, but
No, 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 no. And let
when
me
you,
actually, no, this is good, babes. Let me actually, let's just pause. Let's just pause because it's funny that now that I'm 41 years old, we have known each other, and I'm talking about this is 2021, and this was like 2006 or 2004, some shit like that. My point is that I hear you out, and for years, I am telling and teaching people fuck the college degree because recruiters in any and every fucking company don't look at that. I don't care if you
right,
are fucking Jennifer Lopez or tú eres Pepito, you're the mechanic down the street. Listen,
right, right,
listen, like, no,
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't even, it's like you don't even, let me put it to you this way. You don't need a resume. All you need is an elevator speech, okay? If you
right,
can sell yourself when you're going up, picture yourself one of those elevators in New York City, right? Because
right.
oh, by the way, I was told to have the New York Strip. I'm cool. I want to have the whole New York Strip with the whole Evie. But uh, anyways, um, picture yourself in one of those like not so tall elevators, like
Right,
high, pero you're still it'll give you time. You want to get to the top. You would love to be, like that executive secretary on one of those high buildings one day, and you live in
right,
Brooklyn somewhere. I don't fucking know. So this is good. You wanna picture yourself, but God, all you gotta do is focus on your attitude, and you're gonna get there. That's what's important. And then
awesome,
have that ready. So have like, let me give you mine. And you should never answer an interview more than 30 seconds. Practice. So si tú estás en una entrevista on the phone
yeah,
or in front of you, I'm a
right,
rambler. I'm a rambler because I always have to listen to fucking people all day, every fucking day for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So of course, when I get
Right.
home and I want to talk, and my husband starts running away. But anyways,
Right,
um,
right. It's like, okay, this is crazy. Yeah. And it's true, I appreciate the fact that you're saying that because, sometimes again, people kind of feel rejected by, not getting the position. But, people sometimes don't realize that God opens up doors where they need to be open. And those
absolutely,
doors that need to be closed will remain closed. You always
yeah,
have to remember that you need to give yourself that pep talk. If you feel stressed, if you feel the fear, then you need to talk to yourself. Like you said, you going up to the elevator. Let's say you're on the first floor and you're going to the penthouse, right? And you're gonna go,
yeah,
and while you getting
yeah,
up, while you're going up there, and those numbers are
yeah,
going up, you want to be able to say, you know what? Oh, but you got this. You know what,
right,
Evie, you got this. You're able to do what you need to do, and you're able to
right.
talk to this person. This person is gonna understand you well. You're gonna have the words that you need for you to get to where you need to get to.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. You're doing great. So let's now elaborate on that because and I'm getting the goosebumps. And what that means is I've got Archangel Michael, and that's the only archangel that I want to work with because I'm gonna lead a group of people. Okay. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna empower women. So we talked about a little bit of the resume. We can have a whole segment on that. Listen, it
Right.
doesn't matter how you do your resume. Start putting resumes with color. Put little
Okay.
flowers on them. If you want to do one, do one. It's a
Right.
new
Right.
way. You have to think that recruiters are not the same recruiters anymore. And
Right.
let me tell you why Elba is asking a question and I'm all over the place. And then Elba was rambling and then she's like, oh yeah, I appreciate that. But see, some people are listening to this podcast. They're like, fuck yeah. Okay. Tell me more. How the fuck? She gets it. How do I do it? And then she said she was a light worker. Hold on. So let me tell you. Okay. Let me tell you how it's done. Yes, you can picture it, so you have to
Right.
visualize. Everything begins in the mind. Everything is
Right.
energy. So
Right.
consciousness begins in your thoughts. So you begin
Right.
to think, what do I want? And then, like a car. When I was a little girl, I always wanted an RX, el RX3, or I don't know. It was like a number low. When I became an adult,
Uh-huh.
I got the RX8. It was like the bad. I was like, oh, but my point is that have you ever wished for something and you're like, fuck, man, I wish one day, and now you look back and you're like, fuck, I did, and you did,
Right.
but and you don't have to
Right.
give me examples because we got examples from you, but to the
Right.
audience, use that as an example, right? So you got the brain. That's how I
Right.
did what I did. That's how I did the miraculous shit that I did. You got the brain,
Right.
which is the mind, and then you got the heart. And when I say
Right.
attitude, you got the heart. So okay. So I got this. I'm gonna go, be a secretary in that fucking high ass fucking building in Manhattan, but I'm in Brooklyn, bro. How the fuck am I gonna get to the island, to that fucking island? Okay. So
Right.
hear me out. You don't need to think about that anymore. You already thought
Right.
about that. That's it. You have ascended to the next level of the game. Okay?
Right. And
Yeah,
then
you
you
don't have to.
also have to remember that once you've pinpointed what you visualize, right? When you pinpoint
Right?
what you visualize, then you start working towards that visualization, right?
Yes.
Because you
Yes.
want to be able to say, okay, right? And don't get me wrong, because there's sometimes things may not come to fruition because of purposes of whatever, right?
Right. Right.
And however, you do want to be able to say, okay, I visualize this and now I'm going to work towards this. Like let's just say for an example, I want my house paid off by, December 2022.
Right.
Now,
Right.
for a fact, you still owe, let's say, $100,000 towards that
Right.
house.
Right. My God, you
So
said the
you're
perfect.
visualizing, you're visualizing that, you're visualizing it's paid off by next year, let's say 2 years from now, instead of 2022, because that's not too far. Let's say 2024, right? And let's say, by 2024, I want to have this $100,000 house paid off.
Right.
Okay, that's all fine and good. You can say what you want to say, you can visualize it, but if you're not putting in the work to get to that goal, to get to that visual aspect of what you want in your life, then
Yes.
then is like throwing a paper in the garbage and not seeing it
Right.
ever again, right?
Right. Right.
So you kind of want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to visualize this, and I'm also going to be working towards it so that it can come to fruition.
That's right.
So
That's
that's
right.
the same thing when you're looking for a job. You say, okay, I want to work for Coca-Cola.
Right.
What are you doing to, first of all, you're going to have to study the company, right? You're going to have to study
Right.
what this company does. What do you like so much about Coca-Cola? What do
Right.
you what are the things that fascinate you with this company? What do they do? Is it something that that they do in their community to be able to help other people? Is it what is it that's drawing your attention to that one specific company that makes you want to be able to have a career with that company? So that's kind of the same thing, the aspect that I was talking about in the house and blah blah blah. And so
Right.
you know make sure that when you are going to work for a company or you're seeking new employment, make sure that they are aligned with your values. Make sure that they are aligned with what you want to see in the future. Because if you're not in align with that, and you're just going to this place just to work because you need a paycheck, hey, I get it. We all need a paycheck. We all want to look for a job, but you want to be able to be proud of where you're working, right? You want to be proud to say, hey, you know what? This company, they do this for for the community. They do this for this community. They're doing this for this organization. And I think for me, that's important. You know, that's just what I think.
No, I'm speechless. Eso, perfecto, because you're right, and you couldn't have said it any better. You said it in your own way. So the culture of the company is everything for me. It's everything
Mm.
for me. And if you
Right,
don't, if let me give you some pointers. And so, okay, I'm a recruiter. So how do I do that, Evie? I get that all the time. How do I do that? How do I know which company? Listen, follow your heart.
right,
When you read something in the computer, on your phone, I don't care what it is. You
right.
read it, you read it, you read it. You read it, and you read I don't know, Pepsi, and you Pepsi blah blah blah. Es más, vamos a buscar vamos a buscar una. And then sorry about the little noise, but let's do this, because we need to teach people as we go. So every day, if we want to empower women, maybe each podcast is going to have like a talk show. What are we doing today? So let's
Right.
see. Let Pepsi, vamos a ver a Pepsi, vamos a ver a Pepsi, vamos a ver a Pepsi. Venga,
Yeah,
yo tengo una, espérate.
exactly. Yeah, you kind of want to look. You want to look at those values. Again, I know that sometimes, like this pandemic, people are unemployed and they just need a job. But
Okay.
once you
Dear,
get there and there's nothing stable, right? No job is stable. It doesn't matter where you come from. There, for example, the company that I worked for a year and a half ago, they had a massive layoff, right? And they laid off two people that have been working for this company, and I'm telling you, longevity, 25 years and 19 years.
wow.
So when you work for a company, right? And unfortunately, those are numbers. Numbers are numbers. And I can tell you, because I work with numbers. If they see that this person, they're going to do a layoff, they're going to chop the people who make the most money, right? And I'm not talking about executives. I'm talking about the peons, right? Is what we're called, the peons. So the executives are going to stay where they're at. But anybody below them, they're going to look for whoever makes the most money to kind of cut corners. And
Ooh,
there's no loyalty.
that's a very, 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 very complicated topic.
Right.
Ladies and
And there's
gentlemen, yes and no, Elba. You're getting into a very fucking complicated topic because that's not exactly
right,
how companies fucking do it. They tell you that. They tell you
right.
that. But there's going to be other ways that they do it, the first one in, first one out, and they're supposed to teach you the right ways of doing it. But at the
But
end
they
of the day,
don't
you
do
are
it
a
that
number. You
way.
are a number, and you need to
Number.
understand that.
Right. Right. And they don't always do it that way. First one in, first one out, or,
No.
the last one out. I mean, the last one in, the last one out. There's a variation of things of how that works. And, it's unfortunate, but, like I always say, everything happens for a reason, right? And that reason, you may not understand it at the moment, but I'm going to tell you that in that moment, you have to trust and believe that this is happening for a purpose. Maybe you're too comfortable there. Maybe, you've been there, that like this, my one coworker, she was there 25 years and she was just comfortable. She was comfortable and she was like, you know what, she was going to retire in 2 years. Of
Wow.
course, they gave her a severance package. They didn't give her a severance package for 25 years, but they gave her a 12-year severance package, right? And, you know, it is what it is. People, they're looking for whatever ways that they can cut corners, and nobody is safe. That's basically it. Nobody is safe. So you always got to look out for yourself as well. And there's another thing that I can talk about that in another episode, but looking out for yourself, looking out for your family, saving, as much as you can between 3 to 6 months of
Yes.
income,
No, that's important.
because that's
Yes.
important.
And it doesn't matter how much money you make, and it doesn't matter how much your bills are. Whatever your bills are, and whatever you need to know, you need to have a budget. And this is where Elba comes
Right,
into play. So all of her podcasts are going to have, eventually, they're going to be all lined up. Okay, guys, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm doing it, and it's painful, but we're going to have to do it, like, little by little. So you need to
right,
have money saved up, and you need to have
right,
shit, ideally a year, pero, if you have done this, for those of you that are listening, and you have done that, I'm a recruiter, and it's funny, back in the days, you paid respect to those that were with the organization for a long time, but that's because we were taught to work hard, and you were going to be, recompensated for it, and
right.
then you would
And
you
be
would get
loyal. And
a
be
pension,
loyal.
and then in addition to that you get. So the thing is that in the recruitment world, that the labor landscape, it doesn't change overnight, it changes gradually, and this is why I'm doing this in the way I'm doing it right now. But
Right,
if you need help, listen, if you need help, contact Elba and I. Listen, if you need help with your resume, if you have questions about saving, I'm Evie-Rodriguez. You can find me on Facebook. I'm public, so you can ping me there. And then if it has to do with any questions about Elba, I can definitely get with her. But Elba,
right. I'll
what
have
about,
those links. I'll
yeah,
have
and
those
what
links
about,
in the description.
thank you. And
You're
and what
welcome.
about those of us that are like, okay, what about a little bit more than that? Like, you've already done it career
Right,
wise, and now you're kind of having a scratch. You've been laid off post COVID.
right.
What do you do now? It's like, yeah, okay,
You
about a
run out of
resume.
your money.
Differently now that I'm a corporate associate. I'm an executive, and what the fuck do I do? I haven't even touched the fucking resume, and so it's gonna be hard, guys. It's gonna be
Right,
really hard. But it's easy. It's easy at the same time. Look. I'm gonna give you an example, okay? The way that I'm gonna make Elba a millionaire, and Bill Rude a millionaire, is simple. And if we have to take a look at it in numbers, we'll take a look at it in numbers, okay? Um, and Elba, do you think that we can maybe even take it up a notch, where we say, look, how about you think you got a little part-time job, but what you should be doing is what you're truly passionate about, and what God
right,
thinks that you should be doing, or what the universe thinks that you should be doing. Okay,
Right.
look at you. You've
That's
been
true.
doing Mary
That's
Kay.
true.
Mary Kay is not an employee. Isn't that like a 1099?
It is. It sure is. Yeah.
So tell us more,
And
a
you know,
little bit about that. Because you did not put all your eggs in one basket. So you're doing a
right.
1099. So how come? Because if it wasn't for Mary Kay, you probably wouldn't be here at the same time. So tell us a little bit about what it means to be an employee and look for a job with a resume, and Mary Kay and the 1099. What's the difference between that, so I can piggyback off of you?
Well, when it comes to working and getting a W-2, that means that you're working at an office or working from home and you're working set hours for a company. And that's basically what you're doing. You're working for someone else. When I started Mary Kay, it's my side hustle, right?
Okay.
Well, actually one of my side hustles. And so my Mary Kay business was when I first started was there to help me get out of debt, right? And
Okay.
so when you work for Mary Kay, you're an independent beauty consultant, right? And
Okay.
as an independent beauty consultant, you handle the business the way, you sell products, right?
The way
Do
you want it,
facials
right? You the way you want to.
the
You do
way.
your products.
Right, right. And I now don't get me wrong, there are legal guidelines as well. Even though you're independent, you still are carrying that company's name,
Of
right?
course, of course. But this is
But
not
then
like
you're
a
running your
franchisee, and
business.
it's nothing like that. It's not a business that you have to sign contracts and shit. This is Mary Kay, people. This is how Mary Kay works, right?
Right. So you do have to sign a contract. It's a legal contract stating that you will abide by
Oh,
those legal rules, right?
okay.
However, you work on your time. You build your own schedule, you build your own appointments, and you work on doing your business on your time, right?
Right,
So it's not a set date. Like I work for one company Monday through Friday, and I work from 7:30 to 4:30,
okay.
right? And then I use my other business, my business, I work my business on Mondays, Thursdays and Saturdays, right? And I do facials and, pamper women and empower women through my Mary Kay business. So that's something different because I'm using the time that I set for when I can run that business. So that's where the 1099 comes in, is where, you're running your business, you're buying products from that company, and that company says, hey, you know what? She purchased these products at this cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, she's selling it to her customers, her clients, right? And so that's the difference between working for a 9 to 5, like they say, versus, working your business as an independent consultant and doing your business at your leisure,
And there's no right or
but
wrong.
making sure you're consistent.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong. I'm actually going to help people that want to continue to do that as an employee of a
Right,
company, or 1099, kind of doing your own thing as an independent contractor. So let me
right.
just tell you, there's no one better than the other, and that's what people need to understand. Maybe being an employee works better for some, and maybe being like a business owner kind of a thing, more of an
Independent.
entrepreneur, is better for other people.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is, I think it's also important that I don't just say, hey, I accomplished what I accomplished. I mean, people eventually are going to understand the discovery that I made and whatever the fuck it is that I did. I'm sorry.
We also have to, I'm sorry, you know what, too? We also have to remember that with this pandemic, a lot of people have pivoted, right? So many people have done a pivot where they said, wow, this really hit like rock bottom, you
Right.
know? This industry that I thought was never gonna be out of work had to lay off thousands of
Yeah.
people, right? Like the bars, the restaurants, the hotels, things like that. Banks, because I've seen a few banks that have closed as
Oh
well.
yes.
Because why?
Oh
There's and people have pivoted and said, wait a minute,
No, you have no idea
guys, this,
what COVID has done for the planet itself and all the businesses in the planet and all the jobs in the planet. It's a topic of its own. Let me
yes,
tell you,
yes,
what I want to do is I want to also show people. Let's do a little experiment, okay? Because we've already accomplished. We're college degreed. We're corporate associates. We've been there. We've done that. Obviously, I'm just laid off. By the way, I don't know if I told you, but I received official notification
you do,
that I've been
you
effective.
do.
4/2. So, but I'm not scared. Like,
Yeah,
there's nothing to be scared of. My husband is scared as
right.
fuck. He's a trucker and he goes to work 10, 12 hours a day and he gets a paycheck and he's like, baby, I cannot do it alone. But um, I
Right.
want you to know, and this message is for the universe, really. But I'm gonna partner with a friend of mine. His name is Billy. I'm gonna partner with
Right.
Viera-Rodriguez at Primerica, because we need
Okay.
to think a little bit differently. And what it is a 1099. Do you know what
Right.
Primerica is about?
Yes, I know what Primerica is
Okay,
about. And it's like I was saying, that's pivoting. You're pivoting to something different,
correct. So
right?
I'm gonna pivot to
And
him.
and, and this is an opportunity.
Hey, that shit. He called, and matter of fact, he's gonna be part of my story, as well, and he's gonna help empower women. Anyways, he believed in me, but he just called me at the not the wrong time. It was weird. He called me at the right time because he told me that I could make $200,000-300,000. And at that time last year, I was like, oh shit, they got that. And I didn't care. But now it's fast
Right.
forward and it's March and shit, and I haven't done anything. And then I called them this morning, and
Right.
so he's working some numbers out with me, and I'm gonna play an experiment. So
Exactly.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna
Right.
continue to empower women little by little, of topics of your
Right.
choosing, and the questions are great. You got a couple more questions for today anyway, so we're gonna go through that.
Yeah.
Um, and then what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna partner with this friend of mine, Bill. Um,
Right.
Billie Eilish. Oh my God, I am your fan, and I understand that you're part of my crew. You better be part of my crew, nigga. Anyways, that was Spanish.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so, it's important to understand that, you know, being in that pandemic actually has given people a mindset to change things,
exactamente.
pivoting into something that, is more beyond corporate America, right? I've seen, videos of people switching out to, starting their own little business here and, their business there, and using their talents and their gifts that they have had, but have let it fall asleep. Some people kind of, feel like, oh, I gotta, oh, I'm working now, so, I can't use my talent right now, and let's say they put it to
Mhm,
sleep,
mhm, mhm.
but the reality is that so many people have noticed that, when it comes to ideas, they need to focus on growing their own stuff and knowing that, okay, you know what? Corporate America is good. Corporate America gets you paid, but you can't solely depend on corporate America. And doing side hustles, doing things that you know, make you think beyond the rat race, right? Because that's what I call it. The corporate America is the
Right,
rat race, and it's all about, this doing the same thing over and over again,
right.
right? And so many people have changed their mentality, and it's so good to see that people are growing, and I don't want to sound like, I don't know how to describe it, but so many of us
Mhm.
Latinos have have been shut down so many times,
Yeah.
right? And it's time to grow. It's time. I follow someone by the name of Janice Torres. She has a podcast that's Yo Quiero Dinero, teaching Latinos how to invest their money, teaching Latinos how to work towards things like having a being financially stable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that you're not okay. Right now, I'm close to 50, right?
Damn, I didn't know
I know, I know, I know.
that.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't
Right.
go there.
But you look great. I'm sorry. You look great. I feel like you still look like when we
Thank
worked
you.
together back in 2000, whenever. Oh my
I
God.
know.
That's crazy.
2000, yeah.
2004.
Yeah,
It was
2007,
Alicia.
something like that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, oh no, no,
Yeah.
2006.
So, and then, there's so many Latinos out there that are teaching things like, I don't know about you, but I was never taught about money, about budgeting or any
Yeah,
of that stuff, right?
I was.
So as I get older, as I get older, I start looking at my 401k. I start looking at my retirement. I'm like, esto no me va a dar para ni
Right.
papillo, right? I'm like, esto no me va a dar ni papillo. It's not gonna give me for shit. And I'm like, how am I going to build my wealth so that when I hit 65, or when I hit, I don't want to be 75, 80 years old, and nothing against people who work at Walmart, but I don't want to be. I've seen, and I haven't seen her in a while, but I seen this lady who, I swear to you, she looked like she was 80 years old, greeting people coming in and out of Walmart. And I'm like, mierda, yo no quiero estar así. I'm like, yo, I want to be chilling. I want to be relaxing. I want to be able to disfrutar
Right.
and freaking
Right.
travel. I don't want to be. I don't want to be working at that age. You work most of your life, and then to be stuck, and I can keep going about the state. I can keep going about how they treat the elderly, but that's a whole different segment there. Anyway, let's go back to the topic, right? Of starting to for people who are looking for starting, seeking employment. And so we're gonna recap about, just focus on doing whatever you need to do for your resume, right? I personally would suggest one
Yeah.
page. I used to do like 2 pages and stuff like that, and it was just like too much. You want to be able to do something where it's enough information to grab their eyes, right? To be able to say, okay, this looks interesting here. This topic is interesting. This resume is interesting, and they're not going to throw it in the trash kind of thing,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, my next question is, do you offer resume services, or do you know someone who can
Absolutely.
help
No, they can contact
anyone
me.
that's
Yeah, they
looking for?
can contact me. And
Okay,
again, Facebook is probably going to be the best way, and it's Evie-Rodriguez. And you can look me up. Honestly, you can find me on anywhere. You can find me on LinkedIn. And I have different variations of my name, and it's on purpose because I need to reach out to different
right,
people. And at the same time,
right,
we are compartmentalized, and that's one thing that
yeah,
we need to do. But yeah, they can reach out to me. Absolutely. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what city you are. I mean, again, I live in Florida, but I think if we're talking, this is all United States. If you're somewhere in the United States, we can help each
right,
other out. And I say United States because
right,
when you're looking for work outside of the United States, ladies and gentlemen, it's a different ball game because there are different laws. It's different countries, right?
right,
So I can help you with that
right,
potentially in the future, and I want to help you with that. I mean, all I could do is like in a week, I could just have a team of people that can help, put resumes together for other people. It's easy. That's easy. I can have a whole
right,
company helping people with the resume. So of course, reach out
right,
to me. That's nothing. I'm here for you.
right. Right. So what I'll do is I'll put those handles on the description so that they can reach out to you to
Perfect,
for any help that they
perfect,
need, any questions that they
perfect.
need. Um, so just to kind of close up here, what final thoughts of encouragement you have for people who are currently unemployed or people who are not happy? I know that I've heard a few people that they're working for the company, and even though they didn't get laid off, they got a pay cut, right? So it's kind of interfering with their budget, interfering with their financial, stability. Um, so what kind of words of encouragement do you have for these people who are currently seeking employment?
Follow your heart. And I'm going to tell you why. It's a science. 2019, just to recap, ladies and gentlemen, was a catalyst. COVID was a catalyst for the entire planet. And what that means to the labor landscape, to people that are looking for work in the United States, anywhere in the United States. And I'm going to focus on the United States. To wrap things up, what has guided Elba is God. What is inspiring her is God. The way I believe in God is a little bit different than Elba, but that does not make me any less than her. We're having this conversation because we're friends. Right,
Right,
right.
right,
So,
right.
so remember that
So,
attitude and put your mind and then your heart, right? Just your attitude and follow your heart when you're looking at something. If it don't feel right, don't apply
right,
for it. Don't waste your time. Spend the time in the companies that you wish to work for. Before, it used to be about numbers. And yes, Elba and I are going to dissect it all out because she's all about money and fixing your credit and saving money. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with Bill Ruday. And if only Billie Eilish could be my artist. But anyways, I'm also working with Renee. Please keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that you have to put your heart into things, okay? And Elba is being guided by God. That's all you need to know. And work really hard. If you're depressed, it's okay to be depressed, is to be in a deep state of rest, okay? You're okay. You're okay.
right.
So we're going to help the Latin community. We're going to start. I live in Kissimmee. We're going to help with Kissimmee. Then we're going to work kind of like, by cities kind of a thing because I'm alone. So we're going to work with Kissimmee. I need New York and Puerto Rico. We're going to change the island of Puerto Rico and follow us, follow this podcast. And please, I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. And she said $100,000 at some point in this conversation. So then Primerica is I'm going to do a 1099. But if I have to, because my husband is scared and my husband is okay that he makes more money that I make more money than him. But at the beginning, it was like it was weird. It was really weird. So I'm going to make $100,000 with Primerica. We're going to make Elba a millionaire. Before she dies, she's a fucking millionaire. And what else do we need to fucking do? Oh no, damn it, you got me worked up.
Right. Okay, so we're coming to a close, and I just wanna kind of chime in on here and say, if you are in a state where you are looking for employment, I'm gonna put Evie's information in the description, and you can reach out to her and talk to her regarding, your situation, and she can help you, as best as she can. Now, on an empowerment note, I think, and encouragement, I think that if you have a talent that you have not tapped into, take the time to work on
Mm-hmm.
that talent. Take the time to work on those things that you have put to the side because you are too busy working,
This, yes,
because you have a family, and people depend on you. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a female, it can be a male
That's
too,
right.
someone who, who has these different talents, and kind of bury it because of,
Yeah,
shit that happens in life,
and this is a perfect timing
um
because people,
and
this was a
so
catalyst. So the
right,
COVID, think of
right,
COVID was a catalyst. So it's only going to push
right,
pushed some people out of desperation to start businesses from home. Do you know that I know housekeepers that are now
right,
working from home? I mean, I have people
right,
that made like six figures, that they made so much in corporate
yes,
America that are now making
yes,
more money from home. I mean, listen,
right,
anything, it's a good thing. So
right,
it was a catalyst. Maybe start making your own art, start making your own little thing on the side. That's because I'm gonna help everybody, and I'm
right.
yeah,
And little by little, it's gonna grow. If you are consistent at what you're doing, just keep going, keep pushing forward. Every time you feel like you are down, every time you feel like you are at a point of
mm-hmm,
destruction, just know that you're doing good. Because every time you fail, that is an opportunity. That's kind of like you building a step, right? When you're
right,
building stairs and you have to build the stairs, you have to build them with
right,
wood, right? And then little by little start building with
right,
concrete and whatever the
right,
steel and all that stuff. So when you're going up stairs, you have to remember that just take one
right,
step at a time. You can't go up the
right,
stairs with both feet unless
right.
you're hopping, right? And then, that's a whole different scenario there. But again, um, I just know that you are where you're at the right time, and know that you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. Know that it is not too late. I don't care if you're 50, I don't care if you're 55, I don't care if you're 25. You can get it done, but you have to focus and be consistent at what you're doing.
Oh,
And so with that, I'm going to end it because the podcast is going to end. And I just want to say thank you, Evie, for this conversation.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much for
You're doing
helping me.
awesome.
And thank you, Mama. And again, I wish you luck with Billy, and I hope that everything goes well with
Yeah,
Primerica. And your
I
hubby,
know.
not to worry. Yeah, he's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be
Awesome. Well,
fine.
I can't wait to have our next podcast.
Yes, yes, Mamita. I hope you have a good day, and
You too,
stay
baby. Love
blessed,
you
Mamita.
too.
Love you.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I greatly appreciate it. And I hope that you enjoyed this conversation that I had with Evie. And if you are unemployed right now, or you are employed but are looking for something different in a different field or just a new job, you're overwhelmed at where you're at, don't hesitate to contact Evie. I will have her name, information, and her links to LinkedIn and Facebook. And do not hesitate to reach out to her. She's a sweet person, and love her energy, and love, how she is with helping others. So again, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and I hope that you stay empowered.